Well, no turning back now. Hope this was a good idea. All right, so I've spent most of my life building and remodeling other people's homes, right? I have learned pretty much every trade that I can, and I have all the tools to do it. Combine that with the fact that I've been dreaming of owning my own piece of land in the mountains with a ton of trees. The fact that I am sitting here right now on my own property about to build a freaking house, it's a little scary. We have to drill for a well, and if that doesn't work out, then my dream is kaput. Once we know we can have water, then I can do a septic system. And once the septic system is all set up, run some power and build a house?
Seems easy, right? Well, it did in my head. And just like with every project that I decide I want to take on, I bite off more than I can chew. But that's okay because that's what's going to make this project fun and exciting. I think. I, I hope. At the very least, I'll be able to entertain you as I'm crying in the corner of a trench. But seriously, let's get back to it. So, the first stage of this whole process would be to clear the land, clear the trees, and try and kind of grade and make a nice flat area where I can start building. So, I rented a 37,000 pound excavator. And I rented this machine for 1 week. And time was of the essence, and yet I was getting my drone stuck in a tree. Luckily, it was low enough where I could give that tree a smack with said 37,000 pound excavator. Smacked it, got it down, and of course it missed the tarps. But it's okay, it wasn't too broken. Swapped a couple of propellers and I was flying again. But if you've ever rented a machine on a tight time frame, you know how stressful it is. Well, I don't think about these things until the last few days, right? So I spent the first 2 or 3 days going through the whole property and just collecting little logs and scraping the dirt and the brush and making these piles and kind of like trails. And I cleared this open area, which was a bunch of brush and grass. Not thinking to myself, hey, bud, you only got a couple days here. You need to start taking down the big trees, which was the whole reason that you got this machine. Because a smaller excavator could easily do all of this, I want to say yard work, but landscaping work on the property. This right here is why I got the machine. I've got 80 to 100, maybe even taller, 100-foot plus trees on the property. And look how heavy these things are. This right here is a tamarack. And 37,000 pound excavator. I'm not sure how much these trees weigh, maybe 10, 15,000 pounds. They are not easy to move, but this thing just, I mean, all I have to do is dig around the roots a little bit, give it a little push, and boom. I mean, it's unbelievable what this machine can do. Long story short, I was on the fifth day of a 7-day rental, and I decided then to start taking down the big trees. And this was one hell of a mission because, like I said before, I've never run an excavator anywhere near this size and barely ran equipment. So it was a learning curve. And maybe, you know what? Thinking back, maybe it was a good thing that I spent 3 or 4 days practicing essentially on the excavator with smaller trees and brush and all these piles of slash because this right here is scarier than it looks. Pushing down a 100-foot tall, 10,000 pound tree, or maybe even heavier, can be scary. I mean, if it catches one root or falls on another tree or you don't land it perfectly, you could really get hurt or killed. So, luckily, I'm the only one on the property, and that's also the reason why I crashed my drone into this tree. And this was not like the tree I crashed into earlier. This guy was like 100 and something feet tall. There was no way I was getting that down, so everything from this point on is filmed from the ground. You know, taking down as many big trees as I did was actually the easy part. And I didn't realize this until the next day. Because I don't know if you noticed, but there is a giant pile of trees, the size of a football field, with branches, with twigs, with stumps, with, these huge, huge trunks that just are massive once they get down onto the ground. And I have to somehow, in 2 days, oh no, it's actually a day and a half. From this point, I've only got one full day after this. I need to somehow cut these up, process them, get rid of the stumps, and do everything I can because even this size excavator has a little bit of trouble lifting up some of the biggest root balls, some of the biggest stumps that I have. So once I pulled these out of the ground, I realized how much work I actually have ahead of me. This is not going to be a walk in the park. But again, it's not any fun if you're not under the gun. Hey, that's a good one. I should write that down. Stoff 2026. It ain't no fun if you ain't under the gun. I guess that's how I live my life. So this is a good point. I want to talk about this. So I had to pull these two trees down out of the way because there was this. It looked like it was in good condition, but it split into two. This was a very large tamarack, had to be at least 80 years old. And in that split, where it splits into two, only one of the two survived. So the other end was kind of open, right? And that's kind of scary because I know that it can allow a lot of moisture and rot and bugs and birds and all that. So I decided I'm going to risk a couple other trees and I took it down. Look at this log. This is the split, about 20 feet up in the air. This giant tree that might have come for me one day.
That's why they call this a widowmaker. When it splits into two, that was a big one. That was a long day.
And a long day it was. I was left with a big mess left to clean up all of this. And I tried to ask Bambi for help, but she just wanted to graze. It's the end of the day and the end of the video. And I thank you so much for watching. But I want to make sure you're going to come back for episode 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to try and keep these videos as fun as possible. But I'm hoping you can also learn a thing or two. If not from all my years of being a contractor, maybe you can learn from my mistakes that I guarantee you I will make. So please, comment down below, let me know what you'd like to see in this series. Next episode is processing the logs, then we'll be drilling the well. Can't wait to see you then.
Yep. That's a tamarack. Who are you? Where you come from?